Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the Redington Value virtual webinar sessions. Today's topic we have from Fortinet, we have Secure Remote Work at Scale demo by Mr. Ravi Petwala. So Ravi, over to you.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining the session. I hope everyone is stay safe and fit. So today's agenda is how we can secure the remote worker at scale, and that I'm going to show you the demo of the SSL VPN with two-factor authentication. Right, so let's start. So there is a growing need of remote worker right now as we are in the situation. Everyone has to work from the home and it's a new normal. But it's not only a situation like global pandemic. There can be a situation like natural disaster like flood, maybe illness, hurricane or power outage. And it is important in this kind of situation organization is prepared with the business continuity plan and ensure that organization is capable of maintaining operation in the face of adversity and preparing for potential disaster. An important consideration for organization developing a business continuity plan is that organization may not be capable of sustaining a normal operation on site, of course. If they have to change the work way they work, then it is very difficult to maintain the normal operation. The ability to support employee working remotely is essential, ensuring both business continuity and security. And Fortinet solution offer an integrated solution to support remote worker, or what we say is a teleworker. And our Fortinet next generation firewall, we have built in support for IPsec VPN and also SSL VPN, which enable remote worker to connect securely to the company's network. We also have endpoint protection, what we call is a EMS, FortiClient EMS, and also have the multi-factor authentication. And on top of that, when you have thousands of user and you need to manage the identity authentication authorization, we have a product which is FortiAuthenticator. It's a dedicated device only designed for identity and access management. And all this solution, when we integrate with each other, can help organization to support the remote worker at scale. And to ability to securely support a remote worker is essential component of any organization business continuity plan. An organization may be capable of sustaining a normal operation as I discussed, but they should be able to support up to 70% of the 70% of the work that they are offering from the on-site. And we have more than around 400,000 Fortinet customer. In this situation, they are very lucky to have Fortinet NGFW because we support this IPsec VPN, SSL VPN, and they can use this out of box. So moving on, what I want to discuss about this is in brief is about Fortinet Security Fabric. So the partner who are new to the Fortinet might not have heard about it, and who are older, they must be aware about the Fortinet Security Fabric. So in a brief, this Fortinet Security Fabric is a integrated product of different FortiGate, and core of this is of course the next generation firewall. We integrate endpoint, then we integrate FortiAnalyzer, FortiManager. We can integrate next solution as well. We have the open fabric ecosystem that in using which we can integrate the different component of Azure, AWS, and this will help the organization to give the maximum security for the remote user as well. Now this diagram, this represents some of the typical use case of a deployment of our identity and access management solution. Of course, those who have worked on FortiGate must be aware about the Fortinet single sign-on. Then we provide single sign-on via SAML as well. This is very useful for the application which is on cloud and support the SAML authentication. Then we support the two-factor authentication as well. Certificate management is also possible using the FortiAuthenticator, which you see on this middle of the diagram. This is the core of the identity and access management solution. Then guest access service is also available using FortiAuthenticator. Role-based access and control is also we can use using the FortiAuthenticator, and you can always use this product as an identity, device and access management as a service. So these are all the use cases of the FortiAuthenticator, and I'm going to discuss about this, the different user, and mainly we will discuss about the two-factor authentication. So when we proceed and when we say that two-factor authentication, everyone has the security in place. They have the username and password, but it is often not enough. And why it is? Because when we look at the different studies, we all know that more than 90% of the attack, it starts with the email, right? But most importantly, what they do after they start the attack, first thing they do is they try to get the credential of the administrator of or any user inside the organization from where they can actually access the resources. So they use different technique like brute force attack. They use the most commonly used username and password from the script or the bot to a login page and try to get into the network. So that is the brute force attack. Second one is a credential stuffing attack. So this credential stuffing attack is nothing but they purchase the compromised user database which is available on the dark web, and then they use that username and password with the different combination onto the organization portal or whatever different way they can use. So, and most importantly, we all know that there are weak link in the organization where normal employee keep their username and password common for all the different resources, and also they keep it very simple, maybe admin at 123 password, or maybe their birth date and combination of birth date with their name, or some different kind of mostly most common password that can be easily guessed. And it is very easy using the social engineering technique to get this kind of password. So that is why the username and password is often not enough to provide a protection for the remote user. So that is why we can use this multi-factor authentication method. And if you go by this study of the multi-factor authentication, it is going to grow by 15% and it will reach around 12.5 billion by 2020. And identity and access management as a service, it is also going to grow by 40% according to the Gartner. So we have a huge market opportunity for us, and it is very easy for us to cater this market because we are already into the network security and we already know the customer. So what kind of what is the multi-factor authentication? So first thing is, of course, something you know, that is your username and password that you have. But the second thing, that is two-factor authentication, is something you have, that it can be a mobile, you get OTP on the mobile. It can be application, you can download the application and then use it, like Google Authenticator, FortiToken, which I'm going to show you the demo. And lastly, something you are, that means your identity. It can be a face recognition, it can be a fingerprint that you can use on the mobile. So this is what multi-factor authentication. And historically, if we go before the era of the smartphone, this multi-factor authentication was provided using a physical token or a hardware token which sync to the server on the customer premise, right? As you can see on the diagram, you might have also seen this kind of token where we need to provide a 6-digit or 4-digit code into the after once we provide the username and password. But this was actually, I would say, time consuming, and also this is a hardware which you always need to carry with you. So it is frustrating for user to carry a one piece of hardware every time they go outside. And most commonly, it was the mistype that occurred because of the small digit. It was hard to read, or maybe user was seeing on the token, and then after seeing that they are typing this token, and mostly this was a reason why there was a mistype of this token. As we grow into this digital era, vastly all the majority of the country's population, they own this smartphone, some kind. Maybe they have the Android or they have the iOS, and the share of the smartphone is now across the globe is more than 80%. So it is very easy for us to use this technology and provide a way using this application for the two-factor authentication, and that is the reason why we have the iOS and Android app as a two-factor authentication. So as you can see that FortiToken mobile on right side, you can see there's a request of deny and approve. So once user try to log in, it's not necessary to give the 6-digit code, but we can also configure this token as a push notification. So user just have to either approve or deny whether he is the one who tried to log in. And this is the application which we can download from the iOS App Store or Android Play Store. And there is more important, because this mobile phone you can secure it with the fingerprint, your face recognition, or a pin digit, a different digit or a pin pattern, so that this application is secure and only the user who is aware about this application code. So that is why it is most convenient way. And we talk about this today's situation, it is very easy to occupy this kind of technology, because first of all, it's not a hardware base. You don't have to wait for the hardware to come from a company's production factory to the customer premise. You just have to download it from the app store. It's a digital, and this is the most convenient way how you can implement two-factor authentication in the face of COVID-19 situation. But in future, if some customer requires the hardware token and they say that we have the different type of employee where we need to provide them the hardware token, because what if this mobile device battery goes down, then there is no way for them to log in. And what if there is a premise where no mobile devices is allowed? So in that kind of situation, you can go with the hardware token. We have three kind of hardware token, as you can see: FT 200, 250 and 300. So 200 is of course the most our oldest model that we have starting from the beginning, which is like small pager and 6-digit code. The second one is like actually a credit card. You just need to press on the bottom right, and the digit will appear on the top right side screen. And lastly, that is the USB based authentication, which works with the it's a certificate base where we need to plug in the USB and then it will be able to authenticate using the second factor. So there is, as I speak, there are three kind of product that we can use in identity and access management solution, whether you are using SSL VPN or you are using IPsec VPN, client VPN. So first one is the FortiGate. For FortiGate is convenient for the SMB customer where they have less than 100, 200, maximum 300 to 400. They can authenticate this token directly against the FortiGate. You can integrate 40 token whether it's a hardware or whether it's a mobile application into FortiGate. And for SMB's customer, it is cost effective and you can manage everything from one location. But where you have the thousands of customers and you need to provide second factor of authentication and scale maybe 2000, 5000 users, then the FortiAuthenticator is the best solution that we offer. You can create not only username and password, but you can also integrate the different authentication, even third party token also you can integrate into the Forti token. And you can integrate different FortiGate into one Forti authenticator. So one customer has, for example, 10 branches. He wants to manage the SSL VPN for all the user. So all the FortiGate can take the username and password from Forti Authenticator, just as how you would do when you integrate the Active Directory. So Forti Authenticator, it can be configured as LDAP server or the Radius server. And lastly, the Forti token. It's as we discussed the different type of Forti token. No additional license in FortiGate is required. You just it's a perpetual license. You just have to buy it one time. That's it. You don't have to renew it. And secondly, most importantly, we have Forti token cloud as well. This is not part of this today's session, but just for the information, you can get OTP like SMS OTP from our Forti token cloud as well. So no matter where the customer is, we will provide the 6-digit code on the mobile via SMS. And this is the two-factor authentication tree. So how you can actually decide which kind of second factor of authentication you need to use. So firstly, of course, whether the user has the mobile, yes, then they of course can go with the Forti token mobile app. If they don't have mobile, then they need to go with the Forti token hardware. Then they need to go with the Forti token hardware. If they have the mobile, then first recommendation is always to go with the mobile application. And the second one is, after that they have, the second thing to consider is do you have the policy prohibited you from using a cloud service to manage the token? Means, is there any policy where you cannot use the cloud service? So if it is yes, then you can use our authenticator hardware device virtual appliance. You can install it in customer network premise, and then you can use it for the second factor of authentication. But if you don't have that policy where you don't require, you can use the cloud service and you are preferring the operational expenditure instead of the capital expenditure, that is you don't want to invest into the hardware, yes, then of course you can go with the Forti token which is available on the cloud. And if you don't want to go with this operational expenditure and you want to invest into the capital expenditure, then you can use this authenticator if you need to manage from different FortiGate. So this is how you can decide actually the two-factor authentication. And then based on that, you can use the mobile app, or you can use the Forti token hardware, or you can go with the Forti token which is available on the cloud. So again, Forti token cloud is a OTP like a SMS which you will get on your mobile. So we have the different use cases of this, which I have divided the remote VPN user. Of course, we know that the first use case of this authentication using this two-factor is for the VPN user. But what I want to discuss about is there are different kind of remote user, what we call is a teleworker. First one is the general user, second one is the power user, and third one is the super user. So let's discuss about this different kind of user in detail. So when we talk about the general user, or I will say basic user, teleworker user. So these are the user that require access email of the organization. They need the internet for the teleconferencing, limited file sharing, or maybe the application that they want to access on the cloud like Office 365, Citrix, or different service that they need to use. So these are the users that mostly 90% of the user will be there in organization around this. So what you can do, you can use this FortiClient, which is available as free of cost in FortiGate, maybe SSL or IPsec VPN. And on top of that, you can use our Forti token for the second factor of authentication. Now we need to understand that, as I said, there are three kind of user: the general user, super user, and the power user. So when normal user, they are roaming around, they need to access some limited data or the limited resources from this office premises, so that we can achieve via SSL VPN using two-factor authentication. But the power user and the super user, which requires the more access of the resources, maybe the confidential data that they need to access. So they also become the general user when they're roaming around the world on different location. So how this user is different from the super user and the power user. So let's discuss about the power user. So when we talk about the power user, these are the employees that require high level of access to the corporate resources while they are working from remote location. This remote location, it can be their home or maybe a different company location. They might require the ability to operate into multiple or the parallel IT environment. This kind of user, it can be IT support technician, emergency person, IT administrator. This kind of user comes under the power user category. For these users, what we recommend is, instead of using the FortiClient, you can go with the FortiAP. This is our access point solution, and this access point solution, it can be integrated directly with FortiGate using the secure connection. And this is zero touch provisioning. That means you don't have to do anything. You just go there, install the access point, and using zero touch deployment, we can integrate with the FortiGate over the internet. And if they need a corporate phone, you can use our Forti phone as well, which is a VoIP phone. It is available as a soft phone as well as hardware phone. So you can simply plug that into the FortiAP and it will connect to the main office. So this is how this power user is different than the normal user. Lastly, a super user is the different than the normal. Lastly, the power user, then the super user. So super user, when we talk about, is the employee that require advanced access to the confidential corporate resources, even when working from home or alternate office location. They frequently process extremely sensitive and confidential information. So this can be an employee like IT manager with the privileged system access, company CEO, emergency personnel, maybe for head of the finance or different executive management. For this kind of custom employee, what we recommend is to use the site-to-site VPN. You can use our FortiGate on the remote site or the home site, or smallest device is 30E, and configure the IPsec site-to-site VPN so that that network become the part of a company network as like a local network. And on top of that, of course, you can use this Forti phone, which will be working with the different which Forti phone you can use. It's a VoIP phone, and also you can use the FortiAP to connect the user from the wireless network. So again, I will summarize. There are three kind of teleworker. One is the normal, second one is the power, and third one is the super user. So based on the different requirement, you can opt for the solution that we have offered. And lastly, the Fortinet has the built-in capacity of the SSL VPN or IPsec. No new license required. You can scale it as massively, as you can see, from 100E to 200E. From we supports SSL VPN, IPsec VPN user, and from 500 to 100K users we can support it with different devices. So Fortinet, if I would summarize now, Fortinet solution are easily deployed for the remote worker. However, organization also requires the resources on site or in the cloud to securely support remote users. Now, many organizations have these resources in the place, and it's a part of their existing security architecture. But with FortiGate, NGFW provides what it provides is the capability of inspecting encrypted as well as plain text traffic at an enterprise scale with minimum performance impact. So when we talk about VPN, it's going to be encrypted traffic, and FortiGate is able to inspect the encrypted traffic. So even some user is sending any malware file via VPN, we will be able to detect it. We also include the integration with the common IT infrastructure like Active Directory or the MFA or the single sign-on. And as we discussed, FortiGate can also integrate with FortiAuthenticator, which can act as a single centralized authentication solution. And lastly, all of this product, we can enable organization security team to achieve a single pane of glass of visibility and control using FortiManager and perform the log aggregation and security analytics with FortiAnalyzer, and we can rapidly detect the response using the FortiSIM as well. So we have all this kind of solution which you can use, or you can security team can use to secure the teleworker solution. So that will be the presentation. Now I'm going to share the small demo of the SSL VPN, how you can use it. I'm going to show you the how to configure it. So I'm going to share my screen now. As you can see, I have already configured the different portal, and tunnel mode is also enabled. I have enabled the split tunneling, so my internet traffic will also go from the VPN. This is the IP address which will be assigned to the VPN client which will connect. Then we have also enabled the web mode and the portal message. What is the theme? I haven't added any predefined bookmark, and I have enabled the FortiClient download, and download method is direct. So this is my portal, and my setting of this, on which port I can access this SSL VPN. So this is the public IP where I can access the FortiGate, and all this different technology, all these different resources which we need to put. And lastly, the authentication portal. So as you can see, I have configured the portal with the full access as well. And where is my user is here. So I have already configured one token, and second is the student. So this is the part of SSL VPN. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to enable the Forti token for this user. Now it is asking me to sending me the email. So instead of that, I will use my address. So I will get an email address with the activation email. Okay, so I will say yes. Okay, I got a email. I will share my mobile screen now. I just got this activation code. So once you integrate this Forti token, when you send it for the activation, you will get this kind of code. What you need to do, you need to open this Forti token mobile app, and you need to add it. You can enter the code manually. Our type is Forti token. So I will use my email address. So as you can see that this is a code which will be automatically regenerated every time after some specific time. So now what I will do, I will show you the SSL VPN setting of our devices. So on which user I have integrated 7, right? So now I try to log in using the student. 7. I will provide the password. So it is asking me for the token. So as you can see, this is the token code which I will enter. So now I am into the SSL. I'm connected to the SSL VPN. Now I can take the RDP of the machine using this information. I can take SSL port forwarding. I can do the ping, right? So this is the how you can integrate the two-factor authentication into the FortiGate. It's really easy, and the most important thing to understand is 2 token you will get it free with all FortiGate. So if you want to show the demo to the customer, you don't have to apply for the demo license of the token. 2 token is free with all the FortiGate. So this is what you can do easily. And most importantly, if somebody doesn't have any VPN, then at least you can ask the administrator to enable the two-factor authentication for admin login. So you can go to two-factor authentication and enable the second factor of authentication for admin access, at least, so that at least this FortiGate admin access GUI is secure. So that should be from my side. If you have any question, I'll be happy to help. You can type your question into the question and answer.